Greetings. 7:30 on a Saturday night. I did not announce this live as per usual. I'm just coming on here so we can talk about what's going on. I'm in Los Angeles and things are getting heated up, and so I thought maybe we should talk about it. Yes, I'm safe. The part of LA I'm in, the cold water clown cars haven't arrived here yet, but they're headed in this direction. And how do we come down? Oh, you're in LA too, Diane, so you know. Are they in your neighborhood? So there's for people who don't know, there've been a lot of I don't know, I guess, can I use regular language? I don't know. Cold water clown cars in Los Angeles, and in response there's been major protests, and the fake agents who are enacting these raids, I call them fake because they're not actually trained officers, they're actually thugs. Some of them are like ex-cons that were chosen by you know who, and so they're actually using military weapons. They're using tanks. So I'm in Los Angeles. They're using tanks to go after people, and yeah, these are like pointy white hat wearing people who were hired for these positions. And so now they're carrying out all of these kidnapping raids, and there's a lot of people going out to protest. And now we've just been notified that, oh good, you're in LA too. So yeah, that's why I jumped on here. I think let's talk about this. So I'd love to hear from the other Angelinos if you want to give us any updates about your neighborhood. I'm down in the South Bay, and it's not down where I am yet. I heard they're in Compton. Of course, it is hard to keep up because there's no news. There's not a lot of news, but I've been following some TikTok lives, and yeah. So yeah, I'm just coming on here. Hello, people. I'm coming on here because I'm in Los Angeles, and we have a major street battle going on between these fake agents, cold water agents, and people on the street, protesters. The city, the mayor for the city of LA has spoken out against it, but now the administration has announced that they're sending the National Guard down here. 2,000 National Guardsmen are going to be here tonight, which they can't do without our state's approval unless it's a state of emergency. Someone asked what's my governor said about it. That's what I'm trying to find out. There are a lot of people on social media saying, why hasn't Newsom said anything? Apparently there was one comment he put on social media saying that this was not a good idea. That was about it. Like, it's going to create more conflict if they send these National Guardsmen, but he's the governor. He can do something. So the reason I'm coming on here to talk about this is because it's not just about California. It's not just about Los Angeles. This is like a test case. And so, a lot of us Dreaming Women have been talking about the possibility of this for many months, that there was an effort was going to be made to enact ML so that, the authoritarian state could be, fully weaponized. And so, yeah, if they actually send them down, that's what we're going to have. Yeah, so where I am, they haven't come to where I live. And yes, we are a sanctuary city. So Diane just asked, aren't we a sanctuary city? We are. And so that's, this is just another example of lawlessness, right? Like, prior to this administration, this kind of thing wasn't allowed, right? The federal government couldn't just send troops into a state because we're a republic. So we don't have the kind of government where the national government has greater power than the states at all times. That's just not the kind of government we have. You have to actually have communication, and certain rules have to be followed, and they're not being followed. So yeah, someone's putting in the comments some places to avoid if you're in the greater Los Angeles area. People are saying beware Whittier, Santa Fe Springs, Montebello, Glendale, and Burbank for raids tomorrow. Chewy asked, why can't anything be done to stop this? Oh, is my fan? You can hear my fan? I could turn that off. Let's see. I'll just back it up. No, I have no fire alarm going off. I have a fan on. Yeah, so the people in LA are standing up. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to come on here, is because I was talking earlier in the earlier post I did today about balance, right? About the importance of joy and celebration and dancing, and also the importance of, the fact that sometimes we're really sad and angry and upset about what we're dealing with, but that we have to try to take care of ourselves. We can't be in a super stressed out state at all times. We have to take time to have joy. And so we were all really joyful yesterday and the day before. It was yesterday, I can't remember now. And then today we got all this horrible news about these cold water clowns. But the good news is, yeah, we're fighting back. Lots of people are fighting back. Oh, I hear it now, the smoke detector. Oh yeah, that's in the other room. Yeah, I have to change the batteries like every few months. It's crazy. I don't know why. I've just changed the batteries so many times. It's annoying. Yeah, so we have, on the one hand, we need to be, righteously angry about what's happening, but we also need to be proud and joyful about the fact that people are standing up. People are standing up and fighting back. And so I'm really proud of the people that are standing up. Yeah, it does look like a war zone in certain parts of LA, because the cold water clown cars are using military weapons. So they're using flashbangs, they're using tanks, they're wearing, like gear like they're going to war. They've got the cops are out there with riot gear. And so yeah, there's a lot of scary stuff going on, but also I feel like this is, like, remember what I said the other day about San Diego? How I said, this is going to spread like wildfire, that when people recognize that we have power and that we can stand up and that we can protect our neighbors, that's going to spread. And so it is spreading. And so people in LA are standing up. But we need more people. We need more people, because earlier today there were some protesters trying to stop a van where they had kidnapped people, and they almost ran a guy over because there weren't enough people to stop them. But if they had more people, they would have been able to stop them. And they have stopped them in some places, but in other places they haven't, because, like I said, they're highly militarized. So it's really hard for people who are not armed at all to fight against super militarized people with tanks, but it's possible. Um, yeah, and it's for show. You know, a lot of it's for show because this is a president who doesn't have any really accomplishments, right? There's 100 some days in and there's nothing to show for it. And so this is a big drama to try to act like, oh, I'm such a tough guy. Yeah, so listen to Kwan Yu Kaite, who said, just announced Trump is bypassing Governor Newsom and federalizing the California National Guard. So that's illegal, right? So he's violating the sovereignty of our state. The government isn't actually allowed to do that. They're not allowed to go into a state without the authorization of that state's governor, unless it's a state of war or a state of martial law. And so that's why I wanted to come on here and talk about this, because this is a turning point, potentially a turning point. And it's not super surprising, right? A lot of us have been predicting that he was going to be looking for an opportunity for that, because that's how dictatorships work. They need to have these type of military type of control of the populace. That's how they work. So it wasn't like it wasn't something that was predicted, but what I want us to think about, the reason I came on here is because I want to think about this in the bigger picture, what this means. And so on the 6th, is that yesterday? It's like we can't keep track of time anymore. Or was it the 5th? What's D-Day? I've already forgotten. So somebody tell me in the comments. So D-Day in Europe was the beginning of the end for the Schmazis. And June 6th, which was yesterday. Can you believe it was yesterday? Time is so weird, right? Like, we have no concept of time anymore. So yesterday was D-Day, which was the memorial for the day when, the Allied forces went into Europe, and it was the beginning of the end for the Schmazis. And I thought it was really symbolic that same day was the day that our supervillains started fighting with each other, which is ultimately going to assist us. And so now the very next day, we have an effort by them to engage in some type of martial law, right? Not surprising. But remember, I want to remind you of the vision I had that I shared in the form of a film review about the circus leaving town. And so what I saw, and this is for entertainment purposes only, TikTok, and everybody in the comments remind us of how much you like the TikTok shop. I actually have a TikTok shop showcase now with products. So check it out, TikTok shop. But let me share my vision. Some of you already know it because you watched my other post, but in case you haven't, I had this vision of all of the people just running over oranges. We know what that means, right? Just running over oranges and then surrounding the white tent of the circus, right? The big white tent. And what they showed me was initially there was fighting in the street, right? There were opposing forces. But what that evolved into was a unified demand by the people to know what was going on, and it had to do with some big secret. And it also was like, first it started out with a demand of we want to know about this secret you're not telling us. And then it evolved into the people say no. The people just say no. And then that evolved into, the defeat of the circus clowns and the people in the street cheering and hugging one another and saying we did it. Okay? So that was the vision. And And so what we're seeing today in Los Angeles makes sense to me, in light of the numerous dreams I've had. Because I was shown, although I didn't share it much, right? I shared it in that one dream, but I haven't really talked about it a lot because, my job is to help people stay hopeful and unify, and my job is not to instill fear. And so I'm very careful about what I share. And so I haven't shared a lot of things that I thought might induce any kind of fear, but I feel like it's okay to share it now because the time is upon us. And so I did see fighting in the streets initially, and I did see, some chaos, but then that morphed into a unified movement of the people. And so we have to keep that in mind. Like, although we're seeing some really scary stuff, right? We're seeing militarized fake agents kidnapping people and running over protesters and kidnapping protesters. They kidnapped the head of the SEIU in Los Angeles, brown man, American citizen. They just arrested him because he was observing and witnessing the kidnappings. And so, they're engaging in a lot of illegal activities. We've heard enough stories by now, right, of American citizens being detained. So this isn't about illegal anything. It's about power. And so while on the one hand, what's going on in Los Angeles right now is scary, and it's certainly for those of us who live here, it's very scary, it's very terrifying, right? And, I have some people in my organization who have relatives, and they're afraid their relatives might get detained. Anybody who is Latino, or anybody who looks Latino, anybody who's Native American, anybody who's an activist, right? Anyone like that, you have to worry. But I think it's really important what's happening in terms of the bigger picture, because like I said before, San Diego let the country know that, see, now like every alarm is like, what? What's that? I just heard it. You hear that, police? There's a police siren outside. When the country saw what happened in San Diego, it sparked something, right? That people realized, oh, we have power, and this is the positive part of it that I want us to focus on. Diane is asking, what if everyone stays home? I don't know. A lot of people have jobs and they can't afford to get fired, so I know that some people are staying home. But what they're doing is they're going to places, they're going to people's jobs where they work and grabbing them. They're going to courthouses where people are in process working on their legal status, and they're arresting them. They went to a elementary school yesterday, an elementary school graduation where little 5th graders are graduating, and they detained parents in front of their children. So there's not an easy fix is my answer to that question. Like people like me, I work for myself, I can certainly stay home. But a lot of people don't have that privilege, right? If they have to go to work, and if they have to go to school, take their kids to school. So yeah, it's really terrible. It's really terrible. And so, one of the reasons I wanted to come on here, one was just to talk about it, because how can we not talk about this when it's this really serious thing happening right where I am? But I wanted to talk about what we can do. So I did post earlier about how to persist, and that post was about things you can do. And about keeping a balance between, anger and joy. Sue is saying, I love this idea. And we got a dream, you know, so we have to, don't tell people they're being unrealistic when they have dreams. I think we need to have dreams. Here's Sue's dream. What if the National Guard turned up going after the cold water clown cars? Turn the tables. Maybe Newsom contacted them. I love that dream. I love that. Because, you know, I have been wondering about that for quite some time. You know, are our people in uniforms going to actually be willing to go after our own citizens? You know, I mean, that's the type of cooperation that's required in a fascist state. People have to be willing to engage in criminal activities against their fellow citizens. And so, you know, I have a background in history, and so I like to study history. And I've been reading books about other countries where this kind of thing has happened, and about, you know, how people, you know, defeated it. And it's always small acts of resistance, small acts of non-cooperation, and small acts of sabotage. So like somebody has a job working for the National Guard, but they know that what they're doing is wrong, and so they, you know, do something in that position that goes against that act, which they know is illegal. So Mina says that that they're aware that the military are dropping out and struggling. So I didn't know that, but that's, and Mina also says they don't want to celebrate the 250th alongside his birthday. Yeah, so what's going to happen, right? Are people going to non-cooperate? Are people going to sabotage? Are people going to resist? It's going to take all of us in different ways, and in different positions, finding ways to protect our neighbors, protect our country, protect our democracy, protect ourselves. So one of the things that yeah, and I'm sorry about the smoke detector. It's in the other room, and I have to get up on something high to reach it, so I don't want to do that right now. But we have to find things to do to help. Like right now, if you have palm-colored skin, you are in a really good position to stand up to the cold water clown cars, because they're much less likely to detain you, much less likely to physically harm you also. And so now is the time for that. So if we think about examples in history, you know, we always like to compare it to Germany. We can also look at Italy, but basically World War II, we could look at a lot of places, France. There are lots of little ways that people can resist. And what worked in some of those countries was that people who were not in the targeted populations were the ones that stood up for the people who were targeted, right? So like in Italy, I just finished a book about women freedom fighters in Italy during World War II. I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt my story because Mina said I'm breaking batteries. You know, that's a really good theory, because it is true that as a psychic, as a person with a certain kind of aura, I used to have that impact on electronics. I used to have a lot of weird impacts on electronics. I used to make lights flash and stuff. That is the room where I sleep. Also, I have just a ton of crystals in that room and copper wire. So I built a whole energy grid in my bedroom. So that could be part of the problem. All that energy in the grid that I created to protect me while I sleep. Because, you know, I travel at night, so I got to keep myself safe. So yeah, maybe the smoke alarm is like, there's too much going on in here. All right, back to my story. We got to keep laughing, people. We got to keep our energy and our vibe up. But you see, I'm all vigilant. I'm like, every time I hear something, I'm looking. They're not in my area yet, the Coldwater Clown Cars, but they aren't that far away. They're in, last I heard, Compton, which is probably about 20 minutes from here. So in LA, we do distance by time. So I don't know how many miles that is. Okay, Aaron's reporting right now. Okay, good. Keep us updated, whatever Aaron is telling whoever's listening. So for those who are just tuning in, we're talking about what's going on in Los Angeles right now with the Coldwater Clown Cars, kidnapping people, and there's big protests now, and there's militarized agents, and the National Guard is being called in against the wishes of our governor, which is illegal. And so this is an important moment, right, for us in our, our persistence. Because what we saw in San Diego, in terms of the power of the people, we're now seeing in Los Angeles, and people are taking on, very violent militarized agents in order to protect fellow citizens. And I'm really proud of them. And it's spreading through different parts of LA. LA is huge, and I'm in the part of LA that's in the far south, in the South Bay. And so it hasn't come to my area yet, but it's getting too close for comfort. And it's also getting late, which, at night things always get worse. So Bender says that Hegseth is sending Marines. Now someone said they were sending Marines to some other state. Yes, they are sending in the Guard to fight the people. So the federal government, in violation of the law, is sending in the National Guard against our governor's wishes to fight us citizens. So those of you who've heard us talking about, it's happening tonight. We've been told they're coming tonight. It's now 7:45 Pacific time. So we don't know when they're getting here. But there have been fights between protesters and these armed agents all day. And yesterday and today, they've gotten worse today, bigger today. And so now they're sending in the National Guard to go after us, which means that we're at that point in the story. Remember, this is the story. We're all living in a story, people. And so we should think of it that way, because that's why I was saying that yesterday, having the two villains fighting each other is a really important plot point in the story, because whenever you have that plot point in the story of supervillains fighting each other, that's always followed by the rise of the people or the rise of a hero, because the attention is somewhere else, and it gives us an advantage. So now we have the people rising up. And they rose up in San Diego, and then in I think it was Minnesota and Chicago, and now they're rising up here. And because they're rising up so much here, the protests were so big here that the Schmazzies are using it as a pretext to send in the National Guard illegally. So that's a good question. So Jambar says, well, the National Guard will protect the people if they have a love for their country's people. That's what I'm hoping. So that's another dream, right? So we can dream too, right? We all have to dream the future we want to see. And, is the National Guard, are they going to violate the oath they took to protect the Constitution? They didn't take an oath to follow a particular person. They took an oath to the Constitution. They took an oath to protect our country, not to harm our country. And so, can somebody share some of Newsom's posts? Because I know that I saw that he was opposed, and that he said he didn't want them coming. So Mina says the National Guard loves us. Yeah. So, Dr. Dominic has the CNN on. So, everyone, please report in the comments what you're learning, because obviously while I'm in the live, I can't follow. I'm not at the same time following any news, but I was watching it before I came on, and I came on to do the live because I was, looking at all these lives and all these different posts and news, and talking to my people, because I'm an active person. So, I do this. I'm a spiritual person. I do this, online work, but I'm also a boots on the ground person. And so I'm in leadership, and I've been trying to talk to the other leaders about what to do. I'm not any big time anything, I'm just a small fry person doing some work in my area. But, okay, so Ellie Wiz is telling us that Hegseth just threatened to send the Marines if the National Guard isn't enough. Pentagon chief says active duty Marines to be mobilized if violence continues in LA. They're the violent ones, right? But they always call us violent. And the thing about the protests in LA is it is a lot of people of color, because, LA is very, very diverse. We have a very mixed population here. This is not a white city, and everybody lives here, and we have a lot of Latino Americans here, and so a lot of Latino Americans who are citizens are standing up to protect the Latinos who are undocumented. So Taco's trying to federalize the National Guard and take our governor's power away. And remember that right after the big contest, Newsom spoke out against Taco. So there's a vendetta there too. We have to keep that in mind. Is vengeance, is always a motivating factor for Taco tyrants. But the people are rising up, and like I said, in my vision, what I saw is that we're all coming together. We're unifying, and we're recognizing our power, and we're that's why it's so important not to get caught up in fear. Of course we're going to have fear. We can't help it. It's natural to have fear, but we have to use that fear to motivate us to find positive ways to contribute to bringing about our dream for what we want our country to be, right? It takes all of us. And when we look at history, when we look at other countries that have had to deal with this kind of thing, it was never successful as long as there were enough people to resist in large and small ways. And it really doesn't take as much as people think, We can also look around the world when there were large militarized aggressors going after unarmed or very poorly armed people. And we can see lots of examples where the people won, right? David and Goliath, Iraq, Vietnam, right? We have a lot of examples in history. The Seminole tribe, my tribe, right? Fought 3 wars, never lost one, against a highly, against an army that had a lot more weapons, right? Let me respond to some of the comments. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Lisa said, you're a good teacher. I feel prepared for this. I'm so glad. That's my job. They really want to cosplay military, says Alma. I agree. There's just a real fascination with that by people who want to be authoritarians. Two Smokes says they're so beat down. I hear you, Two Smokes. A lot of us are, right? It's been really hard, hasn't it? All these months, it's been very, very stressful. And it's okay to feel beat down. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel like angry and sad and even hopeless at times, because we're humans, and this has been just such an assault on our nervous systems to be going through this day after day, week after week, month after month, right? Have a little LaCroix. We've been through a lot. We're going through a lot. Oh yay! Two Smokes is on Seminole land. Woohoo! So we're going through a lot, and that's why we have to, like, pace ourselves, and we have to find ways to take turns. Like, we can't all be out on the streets. We can't all be even online, talking every day. We can't all be wearing ourselves out, right? We can't all be leaders. We have to take turns. We have to rely on one another. We have to take breaks. We have to engage in self-care. We got to laugh. We got to find ways to laugh. And we have to have faith, We have to believe that the end of this story is going to be a happy ending, right? And so that's what I keep seeing. I have seen a lot of, scary things in my dreams and visions. Like, I have seen this. I have seen people in the street fighting. But I see it being resolved. I see it leading to unity. I see it leading to people coming together. But it's unfortunate that sometimes, in order for us to get to the place we want to be, we have to go through some things that we don't want to go through. And so that's what we're dealing with right now in Los Angeles, is we're, getting into a conflict that looks like it's going to turn into a much bigger conflict before things get better. They're going to get worse. So Lisa asked, how far down the road in our lifetime? Yes, in our lifetime. I feel like it's going to happen very soon. I did get in my last dream that something very significant is happening on the 14th. So I'm feeling really hopeful, because that's just a few days away. And I also am feeling, at the same time that I'm distressed, I'm feeling encouraged by the way things are speeding up, because I know what the trajectory is, right? People have to rise up in order for us to get to the point where we're able to no longer have that circus in town, right? So the circus doesn't leave town until the people surround the circus and demand that it leave town. And in the past, we were waiting for, like, the mayor and the senator right. We were waiting for all of our officials to tell the circus they needed to leave town, to tell them that they were there illegally, and that hasn't happened. But the people are powerful, and I think the reason it has to be this way is because we need such massive change that the only way we're going to get it is to completely rebuild. So things are speeding up, kicking into high gear, and okay, let me see what else I'm missing here. Mina, the Army is stating the purpose of the parade, their 250th. Yeah, so it's supposed to be the 250th anniversary of something. I forget what, some military anniversary. But then, Taco was trying to, rename it as his birthday. and so Mina was saying earlier is that the people that she knows in the military don't really support that. That they see it as it's an army birthday. It's not supposed to be his birthday. It's supposed to be the army birthday, and so she was saying earlier that a lot of people in the military do not agree with that, and we were talking about that because the question has to come up is, are these people who are in the National Guard and in the Marines, are they willing to violate their oath in order to engage in acts against their own citizens? Because that's not the oath they took. And so it requires them to go against their oath. It requires them. And this is the thing about situations like this that we have to remember. They can't succeed unless enough people are willing to also engage in illegal acts, or enough people are willing to cooperate or lay down or just, pretend they don't see it's happening, right? So like there was this great book I read years ago. It's like this fat, but I love history, and it was called Germany's Willing Executioners. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. I'm just talking about books, TikTok. Just talking about books. So this was a book I read, and in the book, the historian was talking about how the reason that person was able to take over in that country was because so many everyday German citizens went along with it and either pretended they didn't know what was going on, or they totally agreed with it, or they just said, well, I have to follow orders. There was just a wide, a whole variety of reactions, but the bottom line was they didn't stand up. They didn't fight back, right? So we're different. We're Americans. We fight. We fight. And that was one of the things that my guides told me. You may remember it from, if those of you who follow me, from a much earlier post. Because I was posting every day since November 6th, and then I haven't been posting every day recently, but I'm still posting quite a bit. But in one of my posts, one of the things my guide said is, this is America. Americans just aren't built the way, maybe I'm saying that wrong. I don't want to sound all, jingoistic or whatever. It's just that we have a different history. Let me put it to you like that. We have a different history. So in other countries where those types of governments were able to take hold, they had a different history. We have a history that's been all about individualism and revolution and doing our own thing and not listening to anybody. Like, that's our whole identity. I know, I do have that Kendrick song in my head. This is America. I don't know how to sing, so I can't sing it, but this is America. Right? We have a certain mindset here. We don't really go along with stuff. We're really kind of fractious and difficult and, self-absorbed. Some people say individualistic. We all just want to walk our own path, right? And yeah, we're such a mix of people. A lot of people who have fled from other places where they didn't have rights. And then a lot of us are people whose ancestors didn't have rights. Like my ancestors were severely oppressed on both sides of my family. So when you come from that history where you're either an immigrant from a country where your ancestors were oppressed, or you're an African American or Native American and you're in this country and your generations were oppressed, we're really, really attached to freedom in ways that I think are kind of unique as compared to other countries. And so someone, who's that, Carol said, someone said Americans aren't governable. Yeah, we kind of aren't, right? Like, we're just barely governable. And so there's just no way we're going to allow that type of a government to take over, right? So of course that's what they're trying, but we just have to remember who we are. That's not who we are. if you're going to fight with like a sales clerk because you didn't get the right price on the item you bought, aren't you going to fight when someone tries to come and take away your rights? Right? We fight over everything. We're like, oh no, we're not putting up with that. So we're going to fight. You know. So we got to remember that. So I have a lot of faith and hope. Yeah, that is my smoke detector chirping. Somebody pointed it out, but I don't want to go deal with it right now. I mean, I could go and deal with it right now if it's bothering people. It'd take me a minute. I gotta get up on a chair and undo it. We were joking about it earlier, how I change the batteries on my smoke detector like every 2 to 3 months. I don't know why it goes off. And it only goes off in that one room. I only have to change the batteries for the one smoke detector that's in my bedroom where I have all the crystals. Where the energy's intense. Okay, so let me look at the chat and see what I'm missing. Thank you, Evie, for being here. I got one of my mods here, Evie. I don't know if Iris is here too. I've got the best mods. I never even tell them I'm going live, and they just show up. I went live, without warning because, of course, I do it, but I've been looking at the news and looking at lives all day about what's going on in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in an area where they haven't come here yet, but there's major protests here. There's major clashes between the cold water clown cars and people on the street. It's highly militarized, and now the federal government has just decided to call in the National Guard, going against the wishes of our governor, violating our sovereignty, and they want to use the National Guard against the people, the unarmed people on the street. So this is just my little update as to why I came on here and what I came to talk about. Here's Evie. Yeah, I came in late as I was watching Straw on Netflix to take a break from the news. Uh-oh, I'm interfering with your break. Your dog hates the smoke alarm. Okay, I'll go try to mess with it. Give me a minute. I have the culprit. All right. Oh yeah, I gotta disable it. Yeah, I replace the battery all the time for people who are new. I've been talking about this. It's in my bedroom and the batteries stop working like every 2 months. I have to buy so many batteries. I have like a jumbo pack. Because I have all these crystals and copper wire in my bedroom. I have this whole energy grid. I think it's messing with the fire smoke detector. All right, let's see. I'm looking at the comments because I'm asking people update us. We're trying to get more information about what's going on. So the last bit of news I got was that they were in Compton, which is about 15, 20 minutes away from me. Hi, Iris. Yes, you've been pinning comments. I don't see a pinned comment right now. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, thank you, Iris. So please use code in the chat to protect my account. I've had a lot of trials and tribulations with my account. So, and it's never for anything legit. Like, I never talk about anything. I never do anything against community violations. But I once did a video on, aliens, and it got 500,000 views, and they took it down for a community violation because it talked about aliens. So it's just like, I never know what it is. So that's why we talk. That's why we tell stories. Because I don't know what. Okay, I'm just looking to see if there's any questions. So if you have questions, ask me. Yeah, so we're talking about, So Alive is telling us that Eric Prince's Homeland Security goons and Hexeth wants to send in the Marines. So that's what I'm hearing. I didn't see that on the news, but that's what we're hearing in the chat, that this is the newest threat. So the one that's already been confirmed, like I went and found a news report about it where they said they're sending in the National Guard tonight against our governor's wishes. So that's the newest update I have. And oh, so TikTok tester, did you address Keg's breath? Keg's breath? Oh, I love it. Yeah, so I'm just now hearing that. So this is just like more evidence of what I was saying, that this is theater, right? This is political theater, and this is like posturing by, insecure men who like to look tough, right? And so this is unfortunately the kind of people that tend to become, Dickie leaders. Let's just, you know what I mean, right? Dickie leaders. So Dickie leaders, they don't tend to be actually strong men, right? I mean, look at Napoleon, right? He was like this tall. I mean, they tend to be insecure people who engage in a lot of posturing and engage in a lot of, violent behavior. That's probably too close to the word. I need another word. Physical behavior. Right? So the reason that they're wanting to bring in all the pew-pew, big tough guys in is a part of their, political theater of trying to look like strong men. So these are basically just unarmed citizens in LA who are standing up and saying, don't take away our neighbors. And they already have militarized police here. They already have militarized agents with tanks and flashbangs and tear gas and stuff and riot gear. And now they want to bring in the full-on military with, military weapons. So, they're trying to create this really big conflict, right? And in order to have ML, right, so that they can kind of make us a test case. Because if they can, engage in illegal use of pew-pew armaments against one population, then they can do it against the whole country, right? So, I'm not here to fearmonger. The only reason I'm talking about this is because I want us to recognize that this is an important moment in the big picture, but we don't have to worry because we as Americans are just not the kind of people that are going to go along with this, And if each one of us stands up in some small way and just refuses to cooperate in some small way, I'm not saying do anything illegal, I'm not saying do anything physical, I'm just saying that it only takes everybody doing one small thing, right? There's more of us than them. Like the people in LA right now, they're not doing anything but standing in groups and yelling. That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just standing in groups and saying, stop doing this to our people. But that's really all it takes, like enough of us standing in the street. No, that's all it takes. No. And that's what I saw in my dream, right? It was all of the people coming out and saying no together. So the unified no is very powerful, right? Yes, recording with their cell phones. Yes, Evie, that's another thing they're doing, is that they're recording. And you'll notice that these thugs are covering up their faces because they're ashamed. They don't want anyone to know who they are. These are not people who are serving with honor, who went to school and are proud. These are, a lot of them, ex-cons who've been hired to engage in these illegal activities, and they're covering their faces. You know, and so I think, you know, one of my ideas is they need to be unmasked. I think that would change things if they were unmasked. You know, it's like anonymous people, right? Like a lot of times when people think they're anonymous, like they're on the internet or they're on the phone and you don't know who they are and you can't see them, they say and do crazy things. But as soon as you find out who they are, they back down because they don't want you to actually know who they are, right? They're not actually proud of what they're doing. Okay, let's see. What do we got in here? Oh, what did I miss? I missed the funny part. Iris said to Evie something was funny. They should kneel and sing. No yelling and screaming, says Hot Dog Mermaid. Well, my response to that, Hot Dog Mermaid, is are you willing to get down the street and kneel in front of a militarized group? Are you? Yeah, I've done that. I've been to a lot of protests in my life, and sometimes we did sit on the ground or lay down. We used to do die-ins. You ever do those? We used to do die-ins, like when I was a student. Not just then, but I was a student for a lot of my life. I was a grad student for many years. But we used to do these die-ins where we would lay down in the street and pretend to be dead. So yeah, maybe we need a die-in. Maybe we need like a national die-in where we all just lay down in the streets, or we all kneel down and sing. You know. I also think we need art. You know, I think artivism is very powerful when we have artistic forms of persistence. Bernie had to be carried off. It says two smokes. Ooh, Stone Med said the internet sleuths found out who the covered faces were last time. Okay, good. The lady with the megaphone at the J6er press conference. Oh, I don't know what that reference is. Yes, So Alive. That's exactly right. YT supremacist groups are the ones that have been hired for these jobs. They're not actually real officers who've gone through training. Oh, nice. Jack said they got a screenshot of a guy after he threw something. Oh, I guess I missed that. The queen with her megaphone who wouldn't let the so-and-so speak. I missed that. So Iris said she feels like he's having to show power since Skyboy made him look weak. That could definitely be it, because, you know, these are really emotionally immature, insecure people, and their egos are really fragile. So, you know, they don't act like adults. They don't act like you and I. They don't act like grown-ups. They act like people who are, you know, at the emotional level of a very young person, very young child who hasn't yet learned how to, like, regulate their emotions. And so we have to always factor that in, like the way that they behave. It's always based on these, like, vengeance and hurt and anger, and, you know, it's like pride, you know, all these really kind of immature reactions. Oh, and after being called Taco. I know. So Jack just said they posted in a comment on a CNN post. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. You know, I just posted something on somebody's video that I probably shouldn't have posted, but I was so upset because this guy was going off on a Ray Ray rant and saying that he actually wanted the people who were being kidnapped to be unalived. It was really awful. And so I put a comment, and I probably shouldn't have. But it's just like, oh my God! And here's the messed up part about it too. Well, maybe I shouldn't see it this way, but I do as a brown person. He had brown skin, and I was like, really? Like, you're okay with other brown people being targeted just because it's not your brown group? You know, that really bothered me. What is it we're talking about? Oh, that's what we're talking about. Oh, I don't know. What are we talking about? I'm trying to follow this conversation in the comments. Oh, that's a great idea. Hot Dog Mermaid said, oh, I wish Taco Bell would sponsor it and give free hard tacos along the protest route. Oh, that's such a great idea. I love that. I'm just looking at the comments right now, just to see what people are saying. So just for people who've come on recently, after I said this earlier, the reason I decided to go live is because I'm in Los Angeles, and we're currently dealing with a lot of cold water clown cars kidnapping a lot of people, and doing so in a really militarized way with big tanks and riot gear. And there are a lot of people in LA who are protesting, who are standing up to protect fellow citizens. And so we're having, really big confrontations. And now the idiot in chief has decided that he's going to send the National Guard here against the wishes of our governor, in violation of our sovereignty as a state, in order to fight the people. And so ours is like a test case for what this regime wants to do in terms of using the military against the citizens. And this is an important moment for our country, not just for California. It's an important moment because it's like just like yesterday was an important moment. This is another, like every day, right? plot twist, right? So yesterday we had the two supervillains fighting each other, which makes us stronger. And now we have, this attempt at ML, sending the military after the citizens. So another major moment. And I do not believe that we as the American people are going to put up with this. And I think the people will prevail. And in the vision that I saw, I was shown that we were in the streets fighting, but that then led to us coming together and unifying and ultimately chasing the circus out of town and coming together. And so I just see this kind of as the beginning of the end, just like D-Day. D-Day was yesterday. Just like D-Day was the beginning of the end for the schmazzies in Europe, this is the beginning of the end for the taquitos in our country. But it's not going to be easy, and it is scary. Yeah, So Alive says, Cheeto will not succeed. He will not. Oh, look at that. Ink and Thread said, it's wild. My parents have never in their life, but are out there on the streets every week now. I love it. I love it. And there's so many people like that, right? So like where I live, I mean, it's all over the country, but like right near me, we have a really active branch of Indivisible that's doing the Tesla takedown every single Saturday for weeks and weeks, months now. And if you go, it's majority senior citizens, right? And it's just awesome, right? That there are so many people who are that committed One of the things that my organization has been doing is that we've been doing a SpaceX takedown. Hold on. Unable to verify. I'm a robot. They're on to me. Okay, never been good at that robot stuff. I probably shouldn't use those words. Okay, Abby, Iris, she's trying to remind me, use code. I probably can't say those words, huh? So we'll talk generally. Generally, a lot of people have become active people. And we really all need to become active people in some way, shape, or form. We can't all be the same kind of active people. Like, because of the color of my skin, I don't participate in certain things because I know that every black and brown person knows that when we go to protest, there's much more likely to be violence against protesters and arrests. And so when we stay home, what happens is that they don't use physical reactions against protesters, and they don't arrest people, and they're more successful. And so I don't engage in those things, but I'm really active in other things. So like I go to my city council and speak out against Starboy's toys that are currently in our city. And I do research and writing and speaking. So we all have different ways to persist, right? Yeah, Ink and Thread said, my whole family is out there on the streets as they should be. We are not POC. Exactly. If you are not POC, why aren't you on the streets? If you're not disabled and you're not POC, get out there, man. Get out there. Get you a sign and get out there. This is your moment. This is your moment. Yeah, so No Kings is coming up. And, my birthday is on the 13th, so I have all these friends flying into town. Although now I'm wondering if my birthday has to be canceled, because if we're under ML next week, my birthday is next Friday, then my friends might have to cancel their flights. Because it might not be safe for them, to come here. Which will be sad, because it's a really big birthday for me. So let's see, Miller Time has had it out for brown folks in LA since he was a teen, and he's always in Taco's ear. Ooh, who's Miller? Oh, Miller Time, right. Yeah, Miller Time, is a smotsy, so that, there's a real, they really hate cities like this because there's so many brown people. Okay, great. Mina Bean is busy supporting various groups. Actually, can I hear from people in the comments what you're doing? Oh, your son's birthday is the 13th too. Yay! It is Friday the 13th this year, which for me has always been very lucky. So can you tell me in the comments, because I think all of us are getting like stoked and like boosted up when we see other people standing up. Like when I saw San Diego, what they did with the cold water clown cars, I was feeling so proud. And I think because people saw that, now in LA people are standing up, people in Chicago are standing up. And so whenever we hear about other people doing things, it gives us strength. So everyone put in the comments what you're doing. I mean, use vague language, right? Don't do anything that's gonna expose you. But like, put in there like something generic about maybe what you're doing or what you're witnessing people doing. That's uplifting and inspiring. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna see what I can read aloud. Gail says, I live in a red town. Nothing is happening. What are you doing? You're happening. What are you happening? What's your happening, Gail? We're all able to do something. San Diego, Catalina, were you part of the people standing up in San Diego? Um, this one, Iris said they're brown in a red state, so they gotta be careful, but they're sharing to all their socials. Yeah, we can all do small things. Create a community. Listen to Mina Bean. I've been saying that for months now. Create community, right? You got to create community. So you can't just say, oh, I live in a red town or I live in a red state. Every red town and red state has people who are not happy with this situation. I guarantee you. I have lived in lots of red states, and I know. As a brown, gay, feminist, I'm telling you, I have lived in red places, and I have found community. You gotta work a little harder. Find the artists, find the queers. They're going to be more progressive. Look for any women's organizations, theater people, right? Hippies. Go find the gardeners, right? All right, let's see. Jack says they're sharing a lot. Evie says calling the representatives. Yeah, I've been doing that too. So 5 Calls is a great app where it makes it really easy to call your reps. Dana said they're sharing as much information as much as they can. Palma says they're sharing on social, but they're 76 and they can't go out in the streets. Yeah, that's okay. We can't all go out in the streets, but we can all do something. Like sometimes it's just maybe you're Xeroxing flyers for somebody, or like I write I create, I'm a writer, so I create literature for organizations. I create signs that other people carry. So we can all do things besides be on the streets, right? There's lots of things that need doing. Jack says they're staying informed on the stack that is sub, holding the light, manifesting. Yeah. So we can all do different things, right? Little things, big things. Oh my God, Stone Med said that Miller Time went to high school in Santa Monica. That's hard to believe. I guess it's not, because there are a lot of wealthy people there, and sometimes wealthy people, gravitate towards a certain way of thinking. Oh, Mina says they have a post contest support group. Yeah, that's what we all need, right? We all need to have some kind of support. Jack said some of us live far from the maddening crowd. I'm trying to remember what book that's from. Is that James Joyce? Yeah, we all have to. A big thing that we all have to do. I know I've been saying this for a long time. I'm going to repeat it. We have to vision. We have to vision. This is something we can all do, no matter where you are, or what your body situation is, what your age is, or your circumstances. We can all dream. And so if you could make a point every day of envisioning the future as you want it to look, right? Yes, manifest the outcomes we desire. Just, well, I don't use the word manifest because, it comes from some people don't like that word. I think of it as dreaming, envisioning your future, dreaming your future into existence. And doing things as if, living as if. So like living your life, planning your life as if this is going to be the outcome, right? So the other night I was at this event with some of my colleagues, or those of us who are organizing in my town, and we were talking about stuff, and then I said, well, I have this vision that we're all going to come together, and then we're going to chase the circus out of town, and then we're all going to be patting each other on the back and hugging and saying, we did it, we did it. And so we all did that. Like, we walked around and we hugged each other and patted each other on the back and we said we did it. So that's just a way of bringing it into existence, right? Like we were just saying that about yesterday, about yesterday's good news. But like every time we have some good news, we can celebrate and congratulate ourselves and say, okay, we're making progress. Look, we're making progress. And then we can always view it that way. Like today, we have this big, ugly conflict in LA. And so one way to view it is like, oh, it's the end, it's terrible, oh my God, right? But another way to view it is a plot point in our vision of, oh, okay, things are speeding up, things are intensifying because the people are rising up and we're going to prevail, right? And that's the way I see it. We have to have a vision for how it ends, right? And we have to maintain that vision. And it's not easy, right? Because when bad things happen, it's really easy to get kind of sucked into the energy of doom and gloom because, you know, we're human and we get scared. But even if you feel that for a while, then just remind yourself, okay, wait a minute, this looks bad. And yes, we got to deal with this. This is something we got to deal with, right? We can't ignore it. We can't put our head in the sand. We can't act like it's not happening. And we should all do something to contribute, right? We should all find a way to resist. And at the same time, we should remember that this is just a plot point in our vision, in our story that ends the way we know it's going to end, right? Oh, Evie, you've been looking at the eagle nest in Big Bear Valley. Oh my God, I love looking at eagle's nests. So when I used to be a professor, I used to teach, I was a philosophy professor, and I had one class I used to teach on Native American philosophy. And I would have my students watch one of those eagle nests for the whole semester. It was part of their assignment. You know, because one of the things we were talking about is how we're all interconnected and how plants and animals are persons and in Native American belief systems. And but we've kind of lost track of that connection because we spend so much time, in the city or at jobs or, away from nature that we get kind of detached. And so it's nice that they have these cameras that are looking at nests, like eagle nests and different nests. So you can just turn it on your laptop or your phone or whatever, and you can just spend time. It's very meditative to spend time watching animals, especially eagles. Eagles, they're pretty majestic, and they mate for life, and they're very feminist. The male and female eagle share the child rearing completely. There's no overburdening the mother with all the work. They take turns in the nest. They take turns hunting. It's a very egalitarian relationship. It's very inspiring. If only we could learn from them, right? Think about how much better our society would be. All right. Gizmo and Sunny. Those are the babies. Those are cute names for the baby eagles. All right. Well, I'm probably going to sign off soon. I just wanted to come on here and chat a little bit about what's going on in Los Angeles and how we should frame it and how we should think about how we're all going to help in some way. And, helping also is really good for your mental health. Anytime you spend a lot of time just sitting and thinking about how messed up things are, you're just going to get more and more sad. But if you're actually out doing something or inside doing something, making flyers, posting, writing something, creating some art, calling people, whatever it is you're doing to help, it's going to uplift your spirits also, and it's going to make it easier for you to persist. And just a reminder, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Oh, you want to see the whole painting? This is a marathon, not a sprint. So keep that in mind. We will prevail. All right, have a good evening, everyone, and thank you to my mods, Evie and Iris. Thank you for coming on and bringing the light, says Iris. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for coming on and bringing your light. And keep dreaming. And I'll talk to you again soon. This painting is by Rabbit Strickland, an Ojibwe artist. He painted this in my apartment many years ago and then gave it to me. All right, talk to you all later.